This is the greatest headline that's ever been written, ever, from Business Insider. Putin's nuclear threats are pushing people like Trump and Elon Musk to press for a Ukraine peace deal. A nuclear expert warns that's dangerous. Wow. 1984, here we are.
God. So good.
That is, it's the best. You know, the reason why I say it's the greatest is because you could have just said war is peace, you know, or whatever.
Yeah.
But they really went for it. It's very long.
Yeah.
And it really nails the peace is dangerous.
Right.
I love that.
A nuclear winter is actually a nuclear spring.
Oh my gosh.
Well, hold on. It is dangerous because a small nuclear war could stop climate change by killing tons of people, I guess.
Yeah,
You guys saw that article from the Huffington Post, right?
No.
It's like from 10 years ago. It says, could a small nuclear war reverse climate change?
Oh, yeah.
So like,
What's the argument, like lowering the carbon footprint of the overall population?
Yeah.
Like,
yes,
seriously?
the carbon footprint is in the human beings that are carbon.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Okay, well, let's see what they actually have to say about this story. They say, an understandable desire to avoid a nuclear war could actually make the world more dangerous if it means rushing to implement a peace in Ukraine that serves Russian interests, an expert told Insider. Oh, an expert. Such a move, which some influential figures have called for, risks setting a precedent that atomic blackmail is the way to win wars and take territory troops can't otherwise hold. A model that could be copycatted by even the weakest nuclear-armed states and may only succeed at delaying another war. Pavel Podvig, an expert on Russia's nuclear doctrine and capabilities at the UN Institute for Disarmament Research, said in a phone interview from Geneva that such a deal on terms deemed favorable by Moscow in the wake of battlefield losses and an explicit response to the Kremlin's nuclear brinksmanship could well make the world much less peaceful. The West supports Ukraine with weapons and financial and moral and political support. Giving that up and saying that, well, you know, we're too afraid of nuclear threats and we just want to make a deal, that would certainly set a precedent that would not be very positive. If you yield to this nuclear threat once, then what would prevent Russia in the future or others to do the same thing again? How about nuclear weapons in countries like the United States and positioned in NATO? And what we're talking about right now is Ukraine, which is not a NATO member state, not a EU member state, not in a position where we should be sending weapons, US personnel, NATO citizens, special operations, intelligence, and engaging in war with Russia. Hey, how about that? You want to come and claim that I get the point they're trying to make, but it's bunk. Russia is having a border dispute. They invaded Ukraine. It's a border dispute that does not involve the United States.
Right.
We've made it our business for some reason. That's the problem.
Yeah. Plus, more importantly, it's historically inaccurate. Look what happened during the Cold War. It was only because of de-escalation. It was only because of peace deals. We didn't blow each other up, and it didn't lead to, of course, a misbalance of power. And again, this is just a lunatic, sociopathic, bloodthirsty, neocon war hawk that's spewing utter nonsense, literally trying to tell you that war is peace. What is about our current trajectory playing nuclear war chicken that is going to be leading to any kind of resolution or peace, as we're only seeing escalations? Where's the de-escalations? Where's the peace talks? Where's the negotiations? None of that.
And it makes me nervous because it reminds me of right before COVID and people were just kind of talking about viruses and all of a sudden the world changed in ways you didn't expect. It was like, it feels like that, like right before something big.
I got a pitch for the UN, for Joe Biden, and for NATO. All right. You want to get people in on this war. Here's how you play it. You guys ever play Fallout 3?
No.
Luke?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. Eh? Fallout 3?
A while ago.
You know?
Was that
Hey,
Xbox 360?
fun game, huh?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. You never played it?
No. What's the?
Nuclear apocalypse happens and you come out of a vault afterwards and
Uh-huh.
you try and scavenge the wastelands to survive.
Oh,
So they need to play
Game
it.
of the year when it came out.
Hey,
No, I'm just
wow.
saying people really loved the game.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh my God.
Nuclear apocalypse. What's the big deal, huh?
Right, yeah.
Worst case scenario, it's going to be just like Fallout. You're going to go into the where do you go? Into the Lincoln
Wasteland.
No, there's a building in DC where you get the Lincoln's repeater. I can't remember what it is. But whenever I start Fallout 3, I immediately go into, there's a government building. You've got to stealth past some ghouls. Ghouls are like radioactively burned people.
Uh-huh.
And then you open up this case and Lincoln's Winchester repeater is in there. And it's an excellent, excellent weapon in the video game.
Yep.
So I'm just saying, you know, they're saying peace is dangerous.
Yeah.
This is not the pitch to get people to be all in on nuclear war. You got to have them play Fallout 3 and then be like, now, wasn't that fun? That could be real life.
Yeah.
You could be eating moldy cheese off the ground, but
Yeah.
for real this time. Drinking out of toilets is another thing you do in the game. And then you get radiation poisoning. But too much radiation poisoning and you get superpowers.
Yay, radiation poisoning.
There we go.
Yeah, this is absolutely just so mind-boggling. I saw this thing and I saw this article and I was like, I need the shirt. Don't nuke me, bro, because we need this message out more than anything else right now because it's absolutely ridiculous. The Guardian wrote an article today talking about how the West is making plans to avoid panic if Russia uses a nuclear bomb. That's an absolutely crazy goalpost line that we're at right now. That is absolutely ridiculous. And according to a lot of military strategists and even intelligence officers, they're saying that it's between a 10 to 25% chance that Russia will use a nuclear bomb. Now, the people in charge, a lot of the very powerful people, a lot of the people who control a lot of the multinational corporations, the big banks, they have their bunkers, they have their survival food, they have everything that they need. They don't have to wager or risk anything else. Everyone else is going to be paying for the consequences of this, for these stupid policies and decisions that don't have any objective. What's the goal here? Why are we doing this? What's the objective? Why can't we even ask? And why is the corporate U.S. Western media trying to gaslight us into a full all-out world war?
It's simple. Pull it up, Serge. Could a small nuclear war reverse global warming? From the Huffington Post. The article is real, February 26, 2011. It says, quote, nuclear war could reverse global warming. Boom. You are the carbon they're trying to reduce.
That's because it will end life on Earth. Like, people don't understand. It will obliterate life and human beings from ever existing. Like, life as we have it right now will be over, and it'll be terrifying. And if you're lucky to survive, you're going to suffer. This is so stupid and so backwards. And again, you don't have to be pro-Russia or pro-Putin to call for peace and de-escalations. With negotiations, no one's always going to be perfectly happy. No one's always going to get what they want. But at least, for frick's sakes, come to the table and start talking just to each other.
And have you guys seen the pictures in certain subways where they're putting up posters like how to survive nuclear war?
No.
Like,
What, for
yeah,
real?
yeah. There's
But like, are they serious? Or are they like gags?
I think they're.
Because
who really knows?
We have PSAs in New York City,
Yes.
funded by the city. What to do with
More than
nuclear
one, though?
bomb
I
hit.
saw the other one.
I saw one of them. There might be more. It's the woman saying, like, stay inside and don't.
I think I've seen that one.
Take
She's like-
showers.
But that's conditioning, right? It's
Yeah.
like kind of just getting people used to the idea, which is pretty
She's like,
scary.
the big one hit. Don't ask us how or why.
Exactly.
And the best part is, like, the advice they give you will not save you.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Take a shower.
Well,
Like
no.
the
I
oxygen
mean,
masks on planes. It's like, okay.
look. So if you are in the blast radius, I have good news. You won't even know what happened. The shockwave, thermal radiation detonation will kill you faster than your brain can process anything is happening. You might hear a whistle, and then all of a sudden, you don't exist anymore. Now, there's a problem. There's multiple layers to the blast, and you can be in just the... there's a blast radius, non-thermal, which is going to burn you, and it's going to, like, your ears will probably be bleeding, windows will be shattered, you may be seriously injured. That's the worst place to be. And depending on the kind of bomb they use, some have maximum radioactive yield. You could be, like, watching yourself melt in the fireball for, like, an extended period of time. So this PSA really is for people who are outside the blast radius completely. And when they say take a shower, that is actually good advice. If you are covered in dirt and grime, you want to get clean as soon as possible, because the particles from the radiation, like the radioactive particles, iodine and things like that, will get all over you. You got to take potassium iodine pills. But what they're basically saying is, if you live in, like, probably Harlem, or what's another good spot? Probably Coney Island in that area, or Long Island, do these things. Because if you're in Brooklyn, Queens, or Manhattan, and they nuke, that's where it's going to be.
Yeah.
Well, good. I won't even know what happened.
Well, Tim explained before
be
we went
sweet.
on how it's probably going to be Texas, so that's really great.
Well,
Yeah, I said it's a good thing we don't live in some major urban center like, Austin or whatever.
And I'm just like sweating, like, oh, okay.
Well, it's not just the radiation, it's the breakdown of society, of infrastructure, of clean water, of food. It's the nuclear fallout that, of course, will be affecting the soils for thousands and thousands of years. And over the weekend, I actually watched a documentary about soldiers in the United Kingdom that were experimented on by their government that launched a nuclear weapon. And they brought in the soldiers just to see what would happen to them. They made them sign contracts and NDAs, and they classified a lot of this information. So if they spoke out against what happened to them, they would be charged with treason. A lot of these soldiers died. A lot of these soldiers became infertile. A lot of these soldiers came down with sicknesses and illnesses that you can't even imagine. And this is the UK government An official military taking their soldiers, being like, yeah, we're just going to put you right in front of this nuclear blast to see what happened to you. And they were describing how during the nuclear blast, when they put their hands in front of their face to cover their eyes, they could see every bone, every blood vessel in front of their hands.
Wow.
So this is what governments do. They routinely sacrifice people. They sacrifice their own people. They murder. They do horrific scientific experiments. And if you think these sociopathic monsters are not trying to start a nuclear war, you're not paying attention, because that's exactly what they're doing every single day right now.
And there's like really interesting fallout that goes like by generations too, because I watched a clip on the plane actually here, and there was a guy who was around nuclear testing, and he didn't have any issues, but he had a daughter like born after he was involved with it. And the daughter, by age 11, it took 11 years for things to show up, started growing hair all over her face and body uncontrollably, because it messes with your genes, right? So it's like it just twists the gene. And
So-
she actually died after that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
So it's his daughter, you know.
I was thinking like maybe you become like a Hulk. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
that would be on the good end, but
I don't know.
And then
An
die.
We need a few more
uncontrollable
experiments to
rage
see.
monster who can't have normal life, I guess.
I don't think that ever happened to anyone exposed to radiation, Tim.
Oh well, I don't.
Not yet.
Not yet. I mean,
We might have a few
someone
case
grew
studies.
hair all over her body. I mean, that's kind of like a.
That's the Beast.
There you go.
Yeah. So one X-Man came true.
Wolverine.
Yeah.
That's
But
the
we're
funny.
not looking at this conversation in like 6 months and like, oh, remember when we were talking about this before it all went
Oh
down?
my God,
This
yeah,
just
we're
feels
gonna-
like that right now. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
So,
We're gonna be sitting
there's-
in rubble eating cold beans, being like, "Remember when we made that joke?"
And I'll just be gone because it's going to be in Austin.
Well, so the point I was making before the show about Austin was not literally Austin, but I was like, if we're dealing with like a retaliatory strike or a threat, then Russia or whoever, probably Russia, will not target DC or a major city first. They'll target a small town first in a shock and awe strike. So if you hit a big city, the rest of the country says, of course. If you hit a small town, then everyone in the country panics, stops working, locks down, or flees, and that destroys the economy outright.
Right.
So that's probably why they would do a lower yield strike on a small city first. I don't think it would be DC, simply because that would be like deciding to shoot someone in the bulletproof armor. It's like probably the most heavily fortified with bunkers. Raven Rock has got a $100 million expansion. Have you guys heard? We talked about this.
Yeah, we did.
That when we had Drew Miller on, he mentioned that they're doing expansion at Mount Weather, which is nuclear bunker, as well as, and then he mentioned Raven Rock. I looked it up just recently in August, a $100 million contract to Raven Rock for a massive expansion. And they also did another award another contract for Mount Weather for a major 65,000 square foot facility. They're not going to be done right away, but they're certainly thinking about expanding their bunkers. I would imagine all of the surface to air missiles and anti-nuke capabilities are centered around DC, specifically for this reason. So they'd probably hit, if they wanted to cause major disruption to this country, a major economic center. The reason why Austin makes a lot of sense is because the gigafactory is there. So you've got San Francisco, which would be a huge target, probably because of the tech sector. And then you've got the move over to Austin with gigafactory and other, let's just call it the California brain drain to Texas and Florida would make them targets as well. Hit the economic centers. They would probably hit the North Dakota frack fields, seriously hindering our ability to produce energy. Those are going to be huge targets. But it's not like the political epicenter it's probably a moderate target. But thinking about like January 6th, these people thought that like by going in a building, they would have governmental power or something. It's like, dude, it's not the 1600s. So Putin knows. Why hit DC? The U.S. government is digitally decentralized. You need to hit economic and resource centers. Silicon Valley is going to be a huge target. All of the managerial power for all this infrastructure, you hit Silicon Valley, our financial processing takes a major hit. So we as a country need to be diversifying all this stuff, not just because of the culture war, but because of the risk of hypercentralization in a war.
You don't even have to do that. You just have to go to China and be like, hey, stop sending them stuff. And then we're screwed. Our big pharma industry, screwed. All the cheap plastic stuff, screwed. And that, again, would be a very serious consequence.
I'm hearing that Kanye's new interview just got taken down. The Drink Champs. That was the one that he was talking about.
Yep.
Got taken down?
I'm not sure. I haven't seen it. I'm trying to look it up right now.
That's just, someone just sent me there right now. So anyway, nuclear war and all that stuff.
So what was the official reason that we hit Nagasaki and Hiroshima and not Tokyo and Kyoto? Was it that reason?
I don't know.
Not the
that might
capital. You don't
be-
want to hit
well,
the capital. You want to do a smaller.
Well, a lot of scholars argue, one, it's because the Japanese were fighting to the death. Two, it was a kind of symbol to show Russia and
No.
other.
He's asking why not Tokyo?
Why not Tokyo?
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
that's
okay,
what I'm
okay.
asking. Yeah.
Sorry.
So is it that you don't want to hit the capital? You want to hit a smaller city to spread more panic?
Well, they were also responsible for a lot of the manufacturing and production of the
Okay,
of
so
the
it's more
bigger war
strategic than
materials.
psychological.
And you know, the United States took over Tokyo, and it was a huge. It's one of the biggest cities in the world.
We got
You know,
it.
the civilian
I just-
casualties would be immense.
I Googled it. Stack Exchange, someone responded, Hiroshima, the first city, was an important army depot and port of embarkation in the middle of an urban industrial area.
Okay.
It's a good radar target and is such a size that a large part of the city could be extensively damaged. There are adjacent hills which are likely to produce a focusing effect which would considerably increase the blast damage. Wow.
That makes sense.
Due to rivers, it is not a good incendiary target. There were also 4 other possible targets: Kokura, Niigata, Yokohama, and Kyoto. There were 3 criteria for choosing targets. The target was larger than 3 miles in diameter and was an important target in a large urban area. The blast would create effective damage. The target was unlikely to be attacked by August 1945. Any small and strictly military objective should be located in much larger areas subject to blast damage in order to avoid undue risk of the weapon being lost due to bad placing of the bomb. Interesting. They say the possibility of bombing the Emperor's palace was discussed. It was agreed that we should not recommend it, but that any action for this bombing should come from authorities on military policy. It was agreed that we should obtain information from which we could determine the effectiveness of our weapon against this target. Oh, they were testing it.
Makes
They
sense.
wanted a good detonation to
Right.
see what the effects would be. Well, there you go.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, they said Tokyo was not a strategic value if Japan were to be invaded. Interesting. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Military target. Well, there you go, my friends. So I just want to say this as I do with the upcoming election to all of you 18 to 25-year-olds, particularly 18 to 25-year-old males. Whether you're trans or not doesn't matter. The U.S. government has already said it. You must sign up for the draft.
No.
And if you don't, and so let me just say, if you find yourself as an 18 to 25-year-old male for some reason voting demographic, then I will personally applaud you for your sacrifice as you are loaded up as cannon fodder in World War III by the people you voted for. So congratulations on supporting the war effort. Me, on the other hand, I'm going to keep saying the U.S. should not be involved in the Ukrainian conflict, particularly at this point as things have escalated to this degree, and we need to find a path towards peace, lest you be drafted. Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.